everybody. Welcome to episode 262 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. SpaceX completed its long-awaited IPO last Friday, pricing shares at $135 and raising a record $75 billion in the largest public offering ever. The stock opened at $150 on the Nasdaq and closed its first day at about $161, up roughly 19% from the IPO price, pushing the company's market capitalization past $2.1 trillion and making Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire. In the days since, shares have continued climbing at a market close of about $202, further boosting the market cap to over $2.6 trillion amid strong investor enthusiasm for the company's space, Starlink, and AI-related prospects. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and once again, welcome to the program. Just a little slight change up, something I promised to do last week. We'll just have a quick look at the progress for the supercharger voting, and it's heartening to see that Baladonia is clearly out in front with 588 votes. Ceduna is second at 497, and thankfully, Norseman is back in third place at 410 votes. So that is great to see. We really do need to get some more votes for Baladonia and or Ceduna. Now, as far as voting is concerned, something else that's really, really important to do, and I hope everyone that's watching this video and is in the room at the moment does this. All you need to do is jump onto Tesla. This is to actually vote for a proposed next location to be voted for, to suggest a location to be voted for in the next round. So what you do is you enter in tesla.com and then you wait for the website to stabilize. Sometimes it'll say confirm your location. We just hit Australia. It doesn't actually matter if you don't do that. Then we go into chart, you hover over charging and sweep across the supercharger voting. So then incidentally, if you want to vote for Baladonia or Ceduna, you just click on the vote now and you log in and you can vote. But the purpose of this little segment is we then click to suggest new location. Now you obviously enter in your name details and email address, but the important thing is we want to pick Eucla, which is basically in the center of the Nullarbor, equidistant roughly between Perth and Adelaide. So what we do is you start typing Eyre, E-Y-R-E, H-I-G-H-W-A-Y, comma, and then we press space, and then you start typing Eucla, E-U, and then you can see in the autocomplete Eucla is right there. So that's the correct address location for Eucla. Now it'll ask you benefit of location. So just pick need to get to my travel destination. Because after all, if you want to cross the Nullarbor, you need a supercharge at Eucla. Having filled in your other details, click submit and the job's done. Alrighty, so with that little bit of housekeeping out of the way, traditionally, if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please unmute and say hello.
Hello, my name's Andrew Mangano. I'm obviously very new. I've only had a Tesla for a week. Long range Stealth 2019. I am a member of AEBA and been a member way back when Dave Waplington started AEBA, or restarted, I believe, in WA. And I've did a conversion of a Ford Laser to electric back in 2000. I've had a Holden Volt for about 9 years, which I love, but Holden Volts won't get me around Australia as an EV. It's good for the metro, but not much else. So I took the plunge and bought this long-range Stealth, and I want to do the lap, hopefully starting at the end of next month. And hence, I'm obviously on a big learning curve. So I'll probably ask dumb questions, but not maybe tonight, but I'll just listen. Yeah, but anyway, thanks.
All right, and welcome, Andrew. Yes, no, a lap, I highly recommend you do a lap. Sadly, the laps They're
Rant warning.
they're sort of oh geez, I'm just having a meltdown. Um, okay, so notionally they're easier these days, but on the other hand, they're more erratic because you're never quite sure what kind of quality DC charger you get to, and that uh, holds particularly across the Nullarbor, and also if you're going, say, well, if you're doing a lap, you're going to be passing through Mount Isa, which is actually okay, but if you're going the Flinders Highway towards Townsville, you've got a whole lot of tritium RTMs that are basically failing all over left, right, and centre, and you never quite know what you're going to get to. So it's going to be interesting. But perhaps later on, I'll get you. Actually, what you can do is you can contact us, the club, on our helpline, which is 6262 3131, and we can give you some more detailed advice. But we're certainly more than happy to later on, if it's either later on tonight or at another Ask Us Anything, to go through some of the basic steps of going around the Nullarbor. But once again, welcome, and yeah, congratulations on your new second-hand purchase. All right, is there anyone else who is new and is comfortable in saying hello? See if we can get a double tonight. No, I think most of us are the usual suspects. Uh, Alrighty. So obviously, it goes without saying that the only news really in Tesla land was the fact that SpaceX's IPO lifted off. Um, for Australian investors, and there are a few of us, no doubt, in the room and watching, we already know that we got 40% of the allocation as retail investors through CommSec. Um, It was an interesting process. I myself only registered to be on CommSec last week when I applied, or was it the week before? I can't, it's all a blur now. Must have been the week before. Um, and it was a very rapid process, quite easy to do. Transferring money to CommSec was quite easy. When I tried to transfer money within CommSec, was a little bit difficult, but we now know that CommSec was flooded with inquiries. Their website kept on saying generic notifications such as, "We're really sorry, but we have much higher than normal caller activity and all sorts of activity." And they basically admitted that it was all to do with SpaceX. And they were warning everyone about SpaceX IPO scams, etc., etc. What was a little bit of an annoyance, to say the least, was, okay, we had to have cash in our CommSec accounts to apply for shares in the IPO. So, if you had $1,000 in your account, you could apply for $1,000 worth of shares. So you had to have that money in the account. Come Friday night, and it was at about midnight Perth time when the shares finally actually started trading on the Nasdaq, $450 above from the 135 US dollar start price, IPO price. CommSec basically they froze the entire contents of your wallet that you had applied for, and you therefore couldn't trade with the 60% of funds that you had remaining. So there was no option to, for example, like some clever people did. I'm thinking of one person in the room, put in a buy order at $150 for some shares. Now, me and others as a CommSec customer couldn't use those funds that had basically effectively been vanished from our accounts. And in fact, they didn't arrive back into our wallets until yesterday, which was a little bit annoying because SpaceX has subsequently gone up from the $150 initial trading price to close last night at $201. So, and then on the pre-market, they're now 205. So anyway, that was an interesting experience, a little bit annoying, but hey, whatever. Something that might be, and I'm going to then start opening questions and comments. is what I sort of found was quite interesting was that Gina Reinhardt snagged $1 billion worth of SpaceX.
Mm.
So she's obviously quite interested in SpaceX as well. And I dare say, I think some of this has to do with some of the rare earths and other critical minerals that she might be interested in providing SpaceX slash Tesla.
You reckon
So
she got scaled back 60%, Harold?
no, she got the billion that she asked for,
Yes,
just
exactly.
just like Ron Barron got the
Uh-huh.
billion he asked for, and I'm sure many others. But look, to be honest, in Australia, us retail investors got 40% of our allocation. That is sort of exceptional. In the United States, I believe it was 20 if you're lucky, depending on which broker you went through as a retail investor. So I guess we weren't relatively that hardly done by. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is. Now it just is yet to be seen. Oh, and obviously we all know the news that SpaceX has confirmed that it is now buying out Cursor, and that takeover is expected to be completed in Q3
And
this year.
it's an all equity deal, so
Full
swapping
equity.
stock for stock, and the price is determined according to the last 7 days of trading. So with
Prior to the takeover, which will be in Q3, so the impetus is for SpaceX's share price to be as high as possible, so that they have to issue the fewest shares possible.
exactly.
Alrighty. Well, that's enough of me. Has anyone got any opening questions or comments? No, right, okay. So, Pete, how would you round out an awesome show like this as if I didn't already know?
As
No.
always,
As always, let's get the questions in early, people, because what invariably happens is towards the end at approaching 9:30 when it's our bedtime, everyone pops up with, oh, but what about this and that?
look, should we open the floor to Andrew, considering that he's
Yeah, let's
he's
a
our new
new,
guest?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Andrew,
Newish.
ask away at any questions whatsoever.
Okay. Oh, well, hopefully I won't bore you too much. Look, I didn't mention that I'm actually a bit of a solar nutter, right, as well. And one of the things I'd really like to do is charge only where there is at least some solar, and that's going to restrict me quite a bit.
You mean
Not
on the lap?
not
Well,
necessarily,
hang
Andrew.
on, Pete. You mean on the lap, Andrew?
On the
Forget it. Forget
Oh,
it.
yeah.
No,
Well,
no,
Just
Harold.
forget it.
No, Harold, listen. So you might not be able to charge purely from solar, but you may be able to charge purely from renewable energy
No,
in a roundabout way, and that's like maybe 70% of the time, and that's easily done. All you have to do is use a Tesla supercharger
yeah, no,
because
no,
they're
what
powered by renewable energy.
yeah, but
No,
Pete,
no,
Andrew said he wants to do a lap, and a
No.
lap is Australia is not girt by superchargers.
yes,
Unfortunately.
Well, but
agreed.
70%.
I didn't say wholly solar, right? I said at least some solar.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, okay.
Easy.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. so okay,
Least
so
some.
from Townsville
Yeah.
all the way to Port Augusta,
Yeah.
which is all superchargers,
Yeah.
Tesla guarantees that all of that energy is derived through renewable
Yeah.
sources.
But-
They are militant
Yeah.
with that assertion.
Yeah.
For everything that is outside of Port Augusta, so if we take a map of Australia and look at all the charging locations,
Yeah.
so basically from Townsville via superchargers all the way to Port Augusta, it's pretty dense. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's all renewable. Now, there will, and anywhere where there's grid that is partially renewable, and that goes all the way from Port Augusta, that's the last supercharger you'll find, to, well, if you talk about DC chargers, that's Ceduna. Now, that's part of the grid, so that will obviously have some solar aspect. I can tell you now that Nundru, I don't think has any solar attached. Yalata, nothing. Nullarbor, yes, a little bit.
Yes.
It's officially got solar canopy, but often doesn't run, and there's a diesel backup. The Border Village, well, that's broken, so that probably won't be fixed when
Smashed.
you go through.
Yeah.
Smashed by a truck. Mundrabilla is just a basket case, although technically, if you zoom in, John's biofuel, it's not biodiesel, but it's canola oil. So that bulky, which this is old news because that photo was taken on the 16th of June. So by the time you get there, that bulky will be probably nearly empty. But anyway, that is, and it's not powered by waste cooking oil. That's what the label says. This is actually brand new canola oil,
Right.
which is not cheap.
Yeah. But
Um,
the site as a
the
whole does have solar. Mundrabilla.
site as a whole does have solar, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Majura Pass is,
No.
there's all different results.
Yeah.
One notably very much renewable site and very much so is the Kununurra DC charger because it derives, Kununurra basically derives all its electricity from the
Argyle.
from Lake Argyle,
Yeah.
unless there's a fault. But you know, it goes about saying if you, as you go along various roadhouses, they are basically diesel generators, and there's just nothing you can do about that. That's just the way it is. So please don't. It's not. It's literally not. You need, when you do a lap, you need to charge at every place where there's a charger that works, regardless of it. You can't be, except for the Eastern Seaboard, you can't be picky and be greener and make greener choices. The only choice you can make is don't pass a charger that's working, especially sadly at the Horizon Power parts of the WAV network,
Yes.
which, let's face it, is most of the parts you're going to use in Western Australia. So you just have to use whatever charger is running and charge sufficiently so that if and when the next charger randomly doesn't work or underperforms, you can get to the one past that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's probably a good time. There is a little glimmer of some good news that it is intended for the Paynes Find and Capricorn. It's labelled Newman, but it's technically 14, 15 k's out of Newman at the Capricorn Roadhouse. These two chargers hopefully will be up and running on ChargeFox, or should I say on ChargeFox's billing system in the next couple of days. And then sometime, perhaps weeks later, the Q and Karalundi chargers, the Illumina chargers, will be working as well. Oski will be sometime in the future. So
Andrew, I've put a link in the chat. It's an article on this guy from the UK that tried to do the lab with portable solar panels. It'll be interesting reading, but yeah, he found it a lot harder than I think he thought it would be at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, I spoke to Rob and Dean about it. Yeah.
Stuart McCain, yeah.
Yeah, I did a long time ago.
Is that the guy that had the unfoldable things at the back of his car?
That's the one.
Plastic, whatever.
That's the one.
With all due respect to that gentleman, that was the most astounding misrepresentation of what could possibly happen. They actually had the temerity to have a dashboard to show how many kilometers of the lap they had accumulated on solar. And I think the dashboard flatlined at 100 and something kilometers out of the 15,000. It took them no time to realize that if you think you can carry any number of foldable solar panels, drag it out on a sunny day, and think that that's going to get your car around Australia faster than a camel could do it walking, then you're at leave of your senses. And they very quietly on this great promotional website shelved the dashboard because
Yes.
it's stuck at 100 or 200 kilometers as the entire odometer kept on clicking through thousands of kilometers.
Yeah.
It's just not something you can do except in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. No, I understand. No, I understand fully. I'm not expecting to get anywhere near 100%. No, nowhere near it. But at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
the attempt is to try and wherever there is a solar, is to be charging at those locations, as preferably, especially where I can. But which leads me to some of the more obscure places that have solar, but also only have 10 amp or 15 amp outlets, and places like Barclay Homestead, which I believe you've been to, Harold.
That's where
Actually, I've been there much less often on my 11 laps than you'd think. I've only actually stopped at Barclay Homestead. I've overnighted three times. Once when I met Pete on my second lap and his first lap in two standard range Model Ys in opposite directions, and it just happened. And this was not planned or staged. It just happened that we ended up meeting at Barclay Homestead, which was great for me because it meant I didn't have to punish myself doing 450 kilometers non-stop in a standard range car, which would have been hard work. So that was the first time I overnighted at Barclay Homestead, and the other two times when I was towing a caravan, and that's just through the physics of a car can't do 450 kilometers towing a caravan. So that was 3 times I've ever darkened the corridors of the Barclay Homestead because actually it's James. James, you're in the house. Please explain what time you arrived at Barclay Homestead and what time you left
We
and how
charged for 18
you
hours.
charged.
So
18
we
hours?
arrived 18 hours. We could get a constant 12 amps, and and they've got a brand new solar setup, which is pretty good, but they were running a diesel generator through the night.
Understand it. No,
Their solar battery isn't enough to run the large place that it is, but
refrigerators and all the rest. Yeah.
yeah.
Understand. No, I understand fully. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not expecting 100%, not even near it, but
Yeah.
at least the objective
Yeah.
is to try and get as much as possible
Yeah.
within reason.
And for the
within-
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, if you look at Numban Cliff, Mueller Ranges, that would be completely solar 90% of the time,
Yes.
standalone.
Yes.
Fortescue River Roadhouse, that's pretty much solar 90% of the time, as long as you get there during the day.
Yep.
Manilia, if they have a fixed Manilia, that's also solar.
Yeah.
So those three
Oh, dear.
stand out as
Yeah.
standalone, isolated microgrids alone.
Yes.
So those are the examples of how it could be done easily, cheaply everywhere. Unfortunately, Manilia, what are we up to? And how long ago did Narelle come through?
Summer? I don't know. It's
So that
winter
is
now.
still not
Sorry,
online?
maybe it was March. Was it March?
Yep.
January, February, March, maybe?
But they are good. I mean, they are showcases how it could be done.
Yes.
Isolated, no towns, middle of nowhere.
Yes. No, agreed with them. But I'm thinking more of now my problem childs are people like sites that are, effectively caravan parks and not
Yeah.
much more, that I'm going to have to spend some time there, like the Barclay. I mean, obviously I'm going to drive the car. I've got a long range for a reason to try and get as much as I can range wise. I did Tasmania, hired Model 3 long range and had no problems there with, I did 340 Ks on 70% of the battery and had no problem. But, I mean, I guess I'm a realist too. I know there's going to be situations where it's not going to happen, but as much as I can, I'm going to try and endeavour to get.
I would have a look, Andrew. We stayed in a number of caravan parks, and at least 50% of them had a decent solar range. You'd have a poke around, and I'd say that'd be supplementary. They're not got big battery setups, and we happened to go in the fuel crisis, and so we were in caravan parks. There's only 4 other people, so you could probably hold your hand on your heart and say at those times during the day, 100% solar.
Yes,
We were
that's-
overnighting, Yeah,
Yeah. Agreed,
yeah.
agreed.
So
That's what I'm trying to
yeah,
achieve. I'm not
yeah,
trying to, I'm not saying,
yeah,
especially during the day, if I get there at, 10
yeah,
o'clock in the morning, say, and I've left
yep,
at 7 in the morning for the previous site, you know, I'll just sit there all
yeah,
day and I don't know what I'll do. Post on Facebook. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Just
yeah.
find
So
something to
we
do
would often look
while things
around and
charging.
yep, you see the solar arrays on the roofs of somewhere in the solar, and that, and I would imagine on a long weekend when they're full of caravans all running air conditioners, it's only a
Yeah,
small percentage running. But when we were there, 4 cars in a caravan park that can hold 150 people, I think during the day it would be 100% solar.
yes. That's just the
Andrew,
mm, yes.
can I ask, have you got a time frame for your lap or?
Well, leaving end of July, but no set date to come back.
Okay.
So I'm not
Um,
working, so I can. Yeah.
have you got an idea of how long you think you will take?
Oh, at least 50 to 60 days. At least. At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to be short. No. No.
It,
So at
it's
60
Even.
days, you're only averaging 225 kilometers. So really,
Yeah.
you
Do
could
it.
actually do that approaching things like just using 15 amp single phase charging at caravan parks almost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at that nice steady rate, bearing in mind the eastern seaboard is
Mm,
there is nothing that's holding you back as far as charging is concerned. And again, it's all grid power. So
mm,
it really matters not
mm.
because you do know that during the daytime, people's rooftop solar,
Solace. Yeah.
business rooftop solar,
Yeah.
all the other stuff is all pouring into that
Yeah.
grid.
Yeah.
And most of our modern grids
Yeah.
are fairly well catered. Of course, you're going in winter, so technically it's
No.
less the case in winter. But
Yes.
Eastern Seaboard, you can do as quickly or slowly
Mm,
as you like. And then in WA, yeah, I mean, look, if you're taking 60 days, I mean, you're doing a couple of hundred Ks a day.
mm,
It's you could do it. You could just go to do Airbnbs at people's houses if they exist a house and just use their power.
yeah.
It's
Agreed.
it's really easy.
Yeah, but I am a bit concerned about when I'm getting to some of these because I'll be going up to the Gulf, across Karumba and and also Cooktown, places like that. Sort of, right on the edge. There's a few
Yep.
places that do worry me a lot about whether I'm going to have the range to get between A and B. Yeah, that what do you call it? The Gulf Development Road, whatever they call it. Yeah, that road,
Yes.
and between Cloncurry and Karumba and that sort of thing, where I'm going to have to probably go at 90, or something like that to keep, to make sure I get there with enough, you know, to
Yeah.
spare.
An EV, well, actually, it works for any vehicle really, but for EVs, you get to measure it more acutely. Slowing down if in need is your friend. So for every 10% that you reduce your speed, you get a cumulative and I forget what you call it. Well, it's a cumulative about 14% gain in range,
Yes.
and that's cumulative. It's exponential. So basically, for a 20% reduction in speed, you'll get yeah um, I don't know 25-ish percent or well, maybe a bit less
I thought it,
in the 20s of better range. So that makes a huge difference. If you've got a car that can typically do 400 Ks at the speed limit, if you can gain an extra 20%, there's another 100 Ks, and that can make all the difference.
Agreed. Yeah, that's the way I drive. Even with the Volt, I try and make sure I don't, you know, burn it. The energy when I can, be efficient, but not hypermole. But yeah, the other
No, and
question I
don't
had.
and
What are you
don't go
driving,
slow
Andrew?
and sweaty. Don't go slow and sweaty. Just leave your air conditioner on.
Yeah,
Don't suffer.
no,
See, I think one of the biggest um, pitfalls some EV owners can get into is you exaggerate. Well, you have you allow the EV to punish yourself. So you may say things like, "Well, I don't want to, since the EV is such a green machine, I just don't want to sully it by consuming anything but solar power, for example, like pure solar." So then you might punish yourself in trying to, search out nothing but solar. the fact you have an EV has already done the environment a great service, and which is well beyond all of the other stuff. So when you're on holidays, it doesn't matter where you charge your car. They could be burning baby pandas in the diesel generator. This is only one trip you're doing once, as opposed to all the daily drives that you cover vastly more kilometers per year doing a daily drive. I mean, a lap's slightly different. So when it comes to just your experience with driving it, just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
You don't need to be specifically efficient, as long as there's charging infrastructure that's between the gaps. Just use the car to the fullest, and don't worry too much about the periphery of using it. And you don't want to suffer
No.
unnecessarily.
Well,
The fact you got an EV is the best thing you could have done for the environment in any case.
no, I agreed, but it's like it's an engineering challenge to me as well. It's not
Yep.
just it's not just about I mean, I'm not going to go.
Yep.
I'm not going to suffer and turn the aircon off, of course, and I'm going to but I just want to basically see how much I can push it, within reason, and not.
Yep.
Which the other thing, so I'm changing the subject slightly, is three-phase connector types or three-phase. Like, is it just about universal in those places of going? Assuming I stay on the blacktop, that they're 5-pin 32 amps, they're not 3-pin or some 20 amps or
Yes.
something else. That's the other
So,
thing.
notwithstanding that you're going to go on the development road, so you're going to go past Normanton and a few other places like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But on the classic route, on the Highway 1 mostly, it's if there is three-phase for you to use, and there's kind of, in some cases, there's less of it than there used to be because it's been replaced by DC chargers, for example. It's universally 32 amp, three-phase, 5-pin. It has to be 5-pin because your UMC or your mobile connector won't work. And I can't recommend on a recorded service that you connect the neutral pin to earth, because that's not safe, even if that does make the charger work. But that's not something to be recommended publicly. So you can basically just assume that all of the three-phase you'll encounter is 32 amp. There used to be a couple of spots with 20 amp AC. If you want, you can purchase or make up an adapter, or have an electrician make up an adapter that goes from a 20 amp plug to a 32 amp socket, so that you can then just plug in your cons adapter or whatever you've got, EVSE, that will plug into a 32 amp three-phase outlet.
Right. So
Of course, it
next
only
question.
draws 16 amps three-phase through the car, through the internal charger of the car.
Yeah, that's using a cable that's three-phase, not using the the mobile
Yes,
connector.
UMC is only single phase, either 10 or 15 amps.
Exactly. So the next question, I read somewhere that the club has a cable that people use.
Yes, and it's in
Is that
high demand. So I know someone is going to go round in July. And in fact, I think there are 2 people going to go around in July, and we've got 2 cons, so that could be tricky.
Yeah,
Doesn't
sound like I'm going to get it.
It just depends on exactly when you're going to leave, Andrew. Are you
End of
leaving
July.
during the school holidays, or are you going to
Yeah.
wait till the end of the school holidays?
End of July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's better. No, so I know at least one person on a lap will have returned that cons in any case, so that should be okay.
Well, that would be
So
great.
quick,
Yeah.
Andrew, can I just ask? Sorry, I didn't hear. What car are you in?
It's a 2019 Model 3 long range performance.
Oh, yeah. So I just had a look at the Cloncurry to Corumba. That's 458 kilometres.
Yep.
So that seems doable. But in the midway, there is the Burke and Wills Roadhouse.
Yep.
So using nothing but Google Maps, there appears to be no solar arrays. I've put some
Burke
pictures
Wills.
in chat.
Yeah.
So the Burke and Wills is halfway. Just using Google Maps, nothing more, nothing less. Looking at that picture there doesn't look to be a solar array there.
No.
But however, going to PlugShare, they do advertise a 4-pin uh, three-phase plug.
4-pin.
Andrew, you've got a, did you say you had a Stealth Performance? So you've got the 18-inch wheels?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
okay.
deliberately bought that one because I had the 19s in Tassie and I hated it. You know, it was too hard. And they were pumped up to 46 psi to make it even worse. But it also for the economy to get the better economy and the aero covers and yeah. I also wanted chrome trim as well. It was a bit old school, but you know that's why I went with that car. Yeah.
So
And
I've
really,
got one of those. I've got a 2019 Stealth. What
yes.
color is yours? Just out of interest.
Oh, white.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got a black version of that, and yeah, I'd say 450k is a stretch in that car, only because it had NCA batteries, which would have degraded a bit over the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So you doable, but
Tough.
not an easy feat. You'd have to, yeah, a lot of things would have to go right, and you'd have to be extremely gentle on both the throttle and the regen. So obviously on your right hand screen in the top right hand corner, you've got a bar, and if it goes up, it's usually in white or black, which means you're using power. If it goes down, it's in green, means you're putting power back into the battery. So the closer you stay to that midpoint, the more efficient your driving is and the better range you'll get. But yeah, in that car, that's a stretch. Yeah.
Yeah. I agreed.
But I think,
It's not going to be easy. That once you get past 450, I think I'll be pushing it pretty hard to make it. You know, and that's yeah. I guess that's something I just have to accept. That yeah.
but the Burke and Wills Roadhouse, James, isn't that equidistant in the centre?
Yeah, that's in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so then
But
it's half the distance.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Andrew, you were saying that you're going to roughly do it over 60 days. So that dovetails nicely into the couple of hundred Ks a day.
Yeah.
You could just
Agreed.
stop at the Burke and Wills Roadhouse on 15 amps.
Yeah.
And just overnight will be
Charge.
more than enough because you'll gain at least 150 Ks overnight
Yeah. Agreed.
on a normal
Agreed. Yeah.
sleep.
No,
And
I mean, yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that wherever it was 3-phase, that I had the right cable with me to do that, and to preferably charge at 11 kilowatt, not a 7. If I could have, if I am going to be
yep.
in that, otherwise, it just takes.
Okay, so for completeness, if you want the premium pack for road trip preparation, the list is something like a 10 meter 32 amp 3-phase extension cable for places where you might inadvertently find that there's a 3-phase cable but you can't get direct access to it and you need 10 meters of extra length. So you can get someone to make one of those up. You can get someone to make up a 20 amp 3-phase to 32 amp 20 amp plug to 32 amp socket adapter, so that you can then just plug your cons or whatever it is into the adapter and then into the 20 amp outlet.
So which sites are you thinking would that be applicable?
None that are on the normal highway, but you're going to some places that I haven't been to. So it's best to look at all of just select plug share. Select 3-phase. So if you look at plug share, so you're obviously going to select CCS type 2 3-phase, and then you can click caravan main sockets. So then, for example, at the Burke and Wills, it says coming soon. I don't quite know why a caravan main socket would be coming soon, but oh no, look at that. They've actually got, someone's taken a photo of 2 outlets that are useless because they're 4-pin. They haven't got the central neutral, so they're useless. But this is a caravan park, so it obviously has 10 or 15 amp normal caravan outlets, so you can absolutely charge there.
Yep.
If I just for the moment take off your caravan main sockets, then for example at the Croydon Shire Council there is a 4-pin So that's not usable. So that's good to know. So obviously, if at Croydon there is a caravan park, then you can just use the single phase.
I think I was stopping
At
at Georgetown. Yeah, Georgetown for that one,
Yeah,
on that leg.
there's a Latara Resort Motel, and that one used 10 to 32 amp. Use the 10 amp, 32 amp is no longer available. So there you go.
Yeah.
So a lot of these places are removing. Normanton, I think, is a bit better.
Yeah.
There's
While
a
you're looking at Normanton, if you have a look at Normanton, one trick I'd say for Andrew is Google Earth again. If you look at the chat, I foresaw that I saw the pin for Normanton was on PlugShare. I've gone to Google Earth, zoomed in, and you can see very clearly they've got a lot of solar on the roof of
Yep.
Normanton
That's
Caravan Park.
yeah. I was thinking about
So
stopping there
that,
too. If I couldn't
yeah.
make Corumba, I
So,
knew I wasn't going to make Corumba.
yeah.
I'd stop at Normanton. But I'm
Yeah, there's
trying
a lot
to
of solar there.
yeah,
So that
exactly.
is a
That's
simple Google Earth,
yeah,
which means you do a pre-run of your route, have a look at some of the towns.
Yeah.
So found that one. Oh, you'd be happy to stop there saying, yep, during the day you'll be getting solar there.
yeah. That's exactly what I've been doing, James. I've been looking at
Yeah.
Google Earth, looking at
Yeah.
PlugShare, whatever source I can get the latest aerial image, and then saying, oh yeah, that
Yeah.
looks like a good spot. You know,
Whereas you look at Burke and Wills, I can't see a solar array or anywhere near there. So,
no, that's the problem. I've
but
got.
you kind of have to
Normanton,
stop there. Yeah.
yeah, and same with between Normanton and where Cairns. You know, there isn't much in the way of solar on any of those sites. I think there's a caravan park at Georgetown that's not on PlugShare that's got solar on it in the more recent photos, called Midway or something. Yeah, it's got a bit of solar on it recently. But anyway, that's just by the by. But yeah,
Yep.
it's just I was a bit concerned about the three-phase situation that I'd end up with. You know, I'd have to use the caravan park because of 15 amp plugs because I
Well,
just wouldn't have the right cable.
okay, so if you're concerned about that, if that's important to you, then like I said, get a 10 meter 32 amp three phase extension lead.
Yep.
Get a 20 amp to 20 amp plug to 32 amp socket, all for a 5 pin, because 4 pin you can't use.
Yep.
Don't worry about the 32 amp Clipsal style single phase outlet. I've never seen one of those.
Right.
So don't bother with that. And that's about it. Spare tire, a pump, hang on, Pete. Spare tire, a pump, and preferably one of those unvulcanized slug tire patch kits,
Yeah.
so that if you get just a slow leak, such as a tech screw, you can just pull that out,
Yeah.
shove in this unvulcanized rubber slug. Many times you can do it without having to take the wheel off. You can borrow, if you're a member of the club, financial member of the club, sorry, you can borrow a spare wheel. That'll be no problem, which comes with its own jack and all that sort of
Yeah, I
wheel
bought
brace
one.
and all that sort of stuff
Yeah, Cyber
in a
Metals
bag.
one. Yeah, the Cyber
Yep.
Metals one, which I'm just waiting for it to arrive.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So I sort of because I thought I might need it anyway, even back here. But yeah, no, fair enough.
And
No, I'm sure there's other things I haven't even thought about yet that you're probably going to tell me in a minute that
yeah,
think about.
just for redundancy, I would also get the 32 amp, the three phase pigtail for your UMC in
Yes.
addition to your cons. So the cons is relatively reliable, but if you go into some of these places and 32 amp 5 pin is all there is, and if your cons fails or what have you, it's just good to have that as a backup. Just be careful though, if you are at a caravan park that's off grid and running off a diesel genset, if you plug the pigtail in with the UMC, because that's a single phase device, you might unbalance the system and trip the generator. So only use that in a absolute emergency. But yeah, use the cons whenever you can, especially on any off-grid sites.
So regarding that, who do I talk to sort of book it in if I can get that?
So Harold's been actually working on a system. So, yeah, I would give him a call, and his details. I noticed James has already put in the chat. So he's put the Tokwa telephone number in there, which is 62623131.
Okay, I'll
Um,
speak to Harold. Yeah,
yeah,
separately.
and
Yeah,
and you'll get hold of him on that number as well.
yeah. No, thanks, Peter. Thanks.
Um, Now, something else you could consider, especially since you're not away for a long time, is if you haven't already got one, get a Starlink Mini terminal.
Yeah,
I think they're a few $100s these days, and you can get their roaming service, which actually works while you're driving the car, if that's useful to you. It would certainly be if you're in the middle of nowhere and you need to receive phone calls.
right.
That'll cost you I can't remember now, $180 a month, or you can get for $15 a month, like a suspended service. I think that's right. That only works when your dish is stationary, but that'll give you communications everywhere.
Yeah,
However, if you're with Telstra on your mobile phone, you already have operating in the middle of nowhere with no phone signal. You'll have text messages guaranteed as long as you're, well, certainly
outside.
guaranteed out of your car
Yeah,
and not under a huge canopy of foliage or trees or forest or something.
yes.
So that's something that's courtesy of SpaceX, and it comes up on your phone when you're out of cell coverage. It'll come up as Telstra SpaceX,
Right.
and
Okay, I
that
didn't know
allows you
that.
to send and receive text messages. And I think some data, so I think it works. I think X works. I'm not sure about some of the other messaging apps, but certainly standard texting does work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Well, that's good to know. I didn't know about the SpaceX connection at all.
Yep.
Yeah. Neither was something with a satellite. We didn't know what it was. Yeah. No.
Yes,
Thanks.
direct to your
Yeah.
handset. So as long as your handset is less than a few years old, is younger than a few years old, uh, it'll work.
Oh, right. I might have to change handsets. Then. Yeah.
Okay,
The other
so
now.
yep,
Yeah.
go on.
So just sorry, you go first, Harold, because I think you're going to tell me
No, no,
something
no,
I
no, no,
should
you go.
know.
No, you go. Ask away.
Well, has anyone that you know of used Test Logic for the dash?
What's that? What is it?
It's basically Test Logic is an app that runs on your phone. They basically sell a device that connects to the CAN bus in the car, and
Yep,
then you talk to the phone, talks to the phone, and you basically mount the phone in front of the driver's position
yep.
on the steering column, and it basically has all this data you can't even see on the main screen normally, including battery flows of current between the battery and the two motors, blah blah blah. You heard about this, Test Logic?
Uh,
Yeah,
no, not really, but there's a few of them out there. Sexy Buttons do one with
yeah,
their Commander.
yeah.
There's a few
It's
of
similar,
those
similar.
things out
Yeah,
there. Yep, yep.
yeah. Now I've ordered one because
Cool.
you know, yeah, and I want to see if anyone else has had one that can say good or bad about it because the only reviews I've seen are from influencers who basically obviously got it for free and got to say some nice things about it, but it seems to tick a
You
lot of
mean,
boxes
sorry, you
because
mean they get paid to say nice things about it?
well perhaps we don't know for sure, but yes, look, likely yes, but what I'm saying is the idea of it was to see the instantaneous power, instantaneous speed, blind spot indication, that if you put your blinkers on, it flashes red on each side of
Yep,
that screen,
yep.
and it seems to do a lot of things that most, like your typical Chinese heads-up display, what do you call them, don't. They just replicate what's on the other screen.
So
This
one
thing
thing you
doesn't
should
do it.
look into, if it does provide it, which can be quite useful if you are doing difficult stretches,
Yeah,
is if it shows usable battery capacity
yeah, I think it does. I
in
think it
kilowatt
does.
hours.
It tells you how much. Yeah, right, and
So
yeah,
so it has
it,
to be in kilowatt hours. It can't just be percent. It's got to be
yeah.
kilowatt hours, and
I
it's
have to
got to
have.
be either usable or it's got to show nominal and you can listen back to this on YouTube or on X. It's got to have either usable, which is ideal, or nominal, and tell you what the buffer is. The buffer is usually about 3.7, 3.5, 3.9 kilowatt hours.
Yes.
Nominal is sort of like, it's basically the entire capacity of the battery, including a buffer. And what happens is, let's say the buffer, let's make it the maths easy. Let's say the buffer is 4 kilowatt hours. And if the nominal says you have 4 kilowatt hours, your battery percentage will show as 0, and you'll have 0 range left. Now you can go negative, but please don't do that unless you absolutely really have to, because the car cannot predict. No one can predict when the car will actually shut down after it starts biting into that buffer. Older battery packs can just decide, no, I've had enough. My weakest cell is at its minimum threshold, and the car shuts down, and it's not pleasant. And ask me why I know. So, because you basically lose all forward motion or power. So if that app happens to give you one of those combinations, either the absolute usable or the so-called nominal or remaining and the buffer number, then you can do a little bit of useful maths. So for example, if you know that your car's capacity is, I've got to guess, 68 kilowatt hours, say, and you want to do a journey of, say, 450 Ks, which is one of a representative journey. That's a long one. That's difficult to do. You would get 69,000 divided by 450, and it's 153 watt hours per kilometer. So it gives you like a baseline to aim for. And as long as you stay under that baseline, you'll make it to your destination, provided there isn't like Mount Everest at the very last few Ks where you got to go climb upwards, because this doesn't account for altitude difference. Which, by the way, on most of our cars, if you gain 100 meters in altitude, you lose about, oh God, I think it's roughly half a kilowatt hour in capacity, in effective capacity. So it's not trivial. So if that app happens to show you that more detailed battery metric, that could become useful for you to do some mental maths, because it gives you a baseline of what's in your pack and whether you need to leave at 100% full, which you should do on very long journeys anyway.
Yes.
Bearing in mind, the car will say on the charge slider, it'll say daily 80% or less. So the lowest you can select is 50%. So you can go 50, 60, 70, 80%. And then the 90 and 100% is the section where it says for trip. Now, please feel free to charge your car up to 100%, but try not to let it fester at 100 for more than absolutely necessary. Try and, once it's at 100, start driving the car to start consuming that capacity.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew?
What I plan to do. Yeah. Sorry.
Andrew, just a warning with those calculations. So on that lap that I did with Harold, that was 13,600 kilometers from memory, roughly. 13,000 of that, I was averaging about 155 watt hours per kilometer. That was in a Model Y rear-wheel drive,
Right.
2022. The last few hundred kilometers, it jumped to over 300. It almost doubled because I got caught in some fairly strong headwind and pretty heavy rain.
Right.
So, yeah, that's why you always want to have a buffer if possible,
Yes.
because if anything like that happens, and there is no other option,
No.
just pull over and
Wait.
wait it out. Yeah.
Agreed. I am expecting headwinds somewhere. At some point, I'm going to have headwinds, and I just have to work with what I've got, and do the best I can, And, yeah.
Actually, Andrew, another tip is download the Windy app. It's spelt WINDY. The icon, whether you've got an iPhone or a Google phone, Android phone, I'm pretty sure it's red, and it's got like these wave It's got a wave, sort of little waves, white wave graphic. It's called Windy.
Okay,
It's a
I'll
free
look at
app
that.
to use, and that will show you the prevailing wind conditions, and it also projects forwards, so it can go forwards in time. So you can see, because some places you'll have not much wind early in the morning, and then a breeze will come up in the afternoon, or sometimes it's vice versa. At night time it's windy and daytime it's not. So the Windy app is very good. Uh, Classically, there's places like the leg between Mount Isa, or sorry, Camberwell and Three Ways, so where Barclay Homestead is, they actually have big signs that say caution. Sometimes it's crosswinds, and actually crosswinds can be quite unfavorable as well because it disrupts the airflow of your car and makes it a lot less slipperier than it would otherwise be. So sometimes it's actually better to have a mild headwind than a fairly strong crosswind
Crosswind.
because that can be quite disadvantageous. But the Windy app is one that you can just look at ahead of time to see how your day's going to go.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you do have to wait out a storm, turn off your Sentry or cabin overheat protection or other things that may use up a bit of power. Your Sentry mode can use up 200 watts an hour. So, yeah, over 10 hours, there's a couple of kilowatt hours.
Okay, no, I have to admit I haven't even started using Sentry yet, but yeah, no, no, there's a bit there to unpack. Yeah, I have to admit, yeah,
Look, do it
yeah,
slowly.
So,
We could bombard you with so much information that your head starts spinning. You just got to absorb it gently, and you've got time. Uh, and you'll learn a lot as you start your journey. So depending on whichever direction, are you going to go clockwise? I think it sounds like you're going
clockwise,
anti-clockwise.
clockwise.
Oh, clockwise. Okay, so you're going north first. Okay, so
Yes,
you'll learn as you go because you'll quite quickly get in the groove of seeing how your car's performing and all of that sort of thing. So you'll look at the great thing is at the end of the lap, you'll be an expert in doing road trips. But really, by the time you get to Broome, you'll know a lot. And by the time you get to, say, Catherine, you'll know an even greater amount.
yeah. Speaking of
Do read all
Catherine, yeah, do you
Catherine.
stay at
Yeah.
the Beagle Hotel? That doesn't
Yeah. So
work anymore.
the latest PlugShare post that's been put up
Yeah.
is one or two. The problem with PlugShare is, especially in the more remote areas, is not everyone uses it, which is fine. It's not mandatory, but sometimes the data is very sparse
Yes.
and it can be inaccurate. So the last thing I saw on PlugShare about the Beagle motor in was that the three-phase wasn't working, but that there's I think it said 15 amp or at least a 10 amp outlet at the Beagle motor in.
Right.
Now, bearing in mind, Catherine has a fast DC charger, so
Yeah.
charging is not really the problem, but it's quite convenient to be charging while you're sleeping because it doesn't impinge on time because you're doing two things in parallel.
Yes.
Having said that, you're going to do a 60-day lap, so you're doing it really steadily, slowly anyway, so it probably doesn't matter. But what is not clear is why is the three-phase not working? It could very much be that simply the circuit breaker in the meter box, which is right there, is just tripped and it just needs to be reset. But
Right.
the person that put in the post is a non-electrician, non-technically minded person, presumably, and they've just said, well, I tried it, it didn't work. I don't know. He doesn't say in the post, did they ask management to say, is it broken? Or
Yeah.
because the manager might have said, oh, that's strange, maybe I'll just reset the breaker and it might have worked. But in any case, they've said there's a 10 or 15 amp socket next to it. And I cannot for the life of me remember it. I looked through all my photos, but I never took a photo that vicariously had a view of where I plugged in.
Yes.
So there are some gaps in knowledge that, again, you need to take PlugShare posts with a grain of salt. Some people, apart from picking the wrong pin altogether and claiming something's working when they're in the wrong location, and that happens all the time,
Yeah.
especially when there's lots of pins nearby. Other people just don't really understand what they're dealing with, and it could be misleading. In any case, even if you end up staying at the Beagle Motor Inn and you can't charge on three phase, you just go around the corner, and it's literally around the corner, to the NRMA ABB 180 kilowatt chargers, and you'll be done in no time with enough energy to get to the Adelaide River Roadhouse, which is another NRMA
Yeah.
180 kilowatt ABB charger. And then you're on your way to Darwin, so you're off to the races.
Yeah, fair enough. Is it a decent place to stay, the Beagle Motor Inn, just out of interest?
It's just a
Yeah,
motel, mate.
yeah, it's a nice
It's
one.
just a
Yeah, good.
motel.
It's good enough. Yeah, yeah, okay. I've
Yeah,
stayed at other places.
it's probably about 30, 40 years old. I don't know.
Oh,
They're,
yeah.
look,
They're not.
I've been to much worse,
Yeah,
oh man,
no, fair enough.
much
Fair
worse
enough.
places. No, it's actually quite
No,
nice. It's got a restaurant, although I think these days look, they might be more busy. There was a stage in my first lap in my Model X where they had a restaurant that was packed to the gunnels.
oh,
And then I was charging my car at 24 kilowatts because that's what the Model X's could do. I was in my block, which is the residential area or whatever. There's two like wings, and I get a knock on the door, and they go, "Excuse me, is that your electric car charging?" And I go, "Oh, yes."
oh,
Oh, well, it's blacked out the restaurant and the whole of the other wing, and it's like, oh, oops. So, um, yeah, I think I went there once and the restaurant wasn't open, to be honest. So you might want to look, just ring them, just say,
yeah,
hey,
no, no, fair enough.
you know,
Yeah, no, I
are
just
you
wondered.
open?
It was just an asking comment while you're talking
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about it,
yeah.
that's all. I mean, I'm
Yep.
not that fussy, but no, no, thanks. Yeah, no, yeah. I definitely want to land somewhere in Catherine. I'm not going to drive after Kununurra to there. I'm not going to keep going, you know. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah,
well, you'll need to
Timber Creek's
charge up
another
at
one.
charge at Timber Creek. So James is in the house. Can you explain? Because when I used that charger that was at Timber Creek, it was on a Sunday afternoon and there was no one around. The place was deserted. So thankfully it
Timber
worked
Creek,
for me.
yep, Timber Creek, there's a beautiful cafe being built by the local uh corporation. He's putting a lot of hard work into it, and he's put a beautiful little charger there. Unfortunately, he wasn't aware of how it worked. It was turned on all the time, and EV charge was coming, plugging in, charging up, and driving off.
Mm,
So we got quite a large power bill. So he's
mm,
turned it off. Um, he lives in the premises about 10 minutes away. But if you go into the petrol station and speak to the petrol station, he's got his phone number and he'll text him. If you have a look on
yeah,
PlugShare, the text from him is there. And the
yeah,
cafe, I
seen a
think, is
phone
now
number.
open. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
So I
will
think
stop there.
once the cafe is open during business time, it'll be on. But they
Yeah,
did have a problem with some people
driving
plugging
off.
in, charging
Yeah,
up, and driving off. I
yeah,
don't think they're
I
doing it
understand.
on purpose. They were just doing it because they didn't know where to pay or how to pay.
Yeah, I
So,
understand. No,
So James, just looking now, Kimmy
yep.
said it appears to be out of use. Staff member
All
from the
right.
store said EV charger not connected to their shop, nothing to do with it, no phone number
Yep.
available. Gladys said Ron was unavailable. So where is the phone number you mentioned?
It was in the top of the
yeah.
details.
Just looking there. So
Ah,
Yes, 0476
it's
something or other. I remember seeing this.
yeah.
Yeah, Ron.
more details. No, there's no more details
All
there.
right.
That's the text. That's the information. It looks like it's been edited out, James.
Yeah. So it might be.
So
Mm,
the other alternative, Andrew, is if you just stay at the Traveller's Rest
yeah,
next door at the caravan park and just go on a
charge
um,
15 amp.
15 amp, or you could go to the Victoria River Roadhouse down the road, and they have 15 amp outlets. They're just a classic caravan park.
Mm,
But
yeah,
actually, Timber Creek, you're better off. Do try that charger
yeah,
if you can
yeah,
find Ron.
yeah. I'll be ringing ahead. Don't worry. I'll be ringing ahead to try and find if I can get to it. But either that or as you say, use the 15 amp. But the whole town has got a fair whack of solar, or the whole site, you know, like if you look at the Google Earth, there's quite a bit of solar in the power station.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
That
yeah. So
absolute. Yes, there
yeah,
is. Yep.
yeah. So
Yep.
that was the other reason I picked that site as a good place to stop. Yeah, and even if I'm only there for half a day, you know, sort of thing, just to get enough
Yep.
charge to keep going to Catherine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a good one. That one. Yeah, yeah. The other
Alrighty.
site, one other
You're
place that's a
going.
real problem is Halls Creek, or Fitzroy and Halls Creek for that matter. Trying to make sure I
Okay.
can get a
So
charge at
so
all.
you're going. Okay. So you're going clockwise, which is good. Um, don't get me started on Halls Creek and Fitzroy Crossing, but since we're talking about it, let me just change the look of this. Okay, so you're in a long range Model 3, an older long range Model 3. I mean, look, you're on a holiday, you might as well go to Derby.
Yes,
So you're going to go up to Broome,
yes,
and then you might as well go to Derby anyway.
yes.
Derby, I would class it as risky because you're never quite sure what you're going to get. And the last PlugShare post, 11th of June, that's not bad. 11th of June. Okay, so as of that day, Grim got a nice 45 kilowatts. Oh, it's a Shark. Okay.
Yeah.
So Gladys got 120 kilowatts. So that's great. Then you get to Fitzroy Crossing. Now, what I do is Fitzroy Crossing is a great place to stay.
Mhm.
Well, sorry, it's a great place to
Overnight.
overnight because there's no DC or proper formal AC charging in Fitzroy Crossing. The reason is that photo, there's a more recent photo.
Yeah,
You can't charge on the Type 2 because it's missing.
yeah,
And you can't pay for it using a credit card because that's missing. And you can't charge on the DC because I get a photo. There should be oh yeah, well, that screen's fallen back and it's actually now missing. It's gone. So Fitzroy Crossing has no formal EV charging infrastructure anymore that's operational. However, if we change to three-phase plugs, you can stay at the Fitzroy River Lodge, bearing in mind it's not cheap accommodation. And at the Fitzroy River Lodge, there is a three-phase outlet right here.
yeah.
And it's good because just here is the undercover for the entrance to the hotel.
Right.
So it's relatively safe-ish, if you call it that, to park your car there and just plug into the three-phase.
Yeah.
And if you do
Well, you
that
can
while
see.
you're overnighting,
Yep.
then that is a good use of that time because there is, like I said, zero EV charging that works in Fitzroy Crossing. Now, Halls Creek is not much better, except at least you've got to check it on PlugShare and also on ChargeFox. As of a certain date, like let's see, as of well, apparently on the 5th of June, the T2 seemed to respond but would not authorize. So it's probably broken as well. Good job. So then what you do is you've got to charge the best place that you can't charge here. Halls Creek Charter, that's finished. That power pole is actually no longer there because it was vandalized. So this thing here no longer exists because it was knocked off the pole. And they've connected power a different way. But you can charge at the Halls Creek motel. And this is actually a great three-phase outlet that's just up here next to the laundry. So you can just plug into that. And then
Actually,
after
that was on
that,
for
you've
Warman.
got Warman, which is generally okay.
Yeah.
Don't know why it's a 7.9. Again, it's always useful to have a look. Oh no, we've got 100 kilowatts.
Yeah.
And then you've got Kununurra. Look, Kununurra is a big town. You might want to spend a day or two around the environs of kind of narrow, and that usually works. Sorry, often works. And yeah, don't know why 40 kilowatts. That could be misleading. Maybe that car was nearly full anyway. It said just a top up. So, previously it's been reported as 180 kilowatts. That's not true. Can't do that. But anyway, again, sometimes reports aren't completely accurate.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Fitzroy Crossing, Halls Creek, their basket case.
Yeah.
I dare say, unless something dramatically happens, probably at a ministerial level, which the chances of that is probably close to nothing.
Mm.
The WAV network in the Horizon Power side will be more promise than it was delivery.
Yeah.
It's like the Queensland Electric Superhighway, so named, that they installed it, planted the flag, declared victory, and walked off. And then all the charges just naturally decayed into oblivion. And
Yep.
basically, oblivion is what Fitzroy Crossing, and Halls Creek is.
Yes. Yeah.
In
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, that's my fear. The only one I'm really worried about is Numpan. If Numpan goes as well, then I'm in deep poo. Yeah.
Numpen is good because if Numpen goes down, then you're going nowhere, and there's nothing there. Except you're going in winter, so there'll be heaps of caravanners, and it's a great spot. It's a great spot. We'll just pick that pin, and there's no doubt there's plenty of solar, and it's an awfully great spot. So that's
As long
good.
as it doesn't get vandalised, that's the main thing. I'm worried about.
It's actually less likely, happily, because of its remoteness.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
not a lot of local interaction with it. So, but again, do check on PlugShare. I would never take it to chance. So never go to a location that never rely on Numpen to work.
Yeah. Charge to get to Halls
You're
Creek,
going
yeah.
clockwise, so you're going to be overnighting at the Fitzroy River Lodge or anywhere, wherever. Always make sure you have more than enough to make it to Halls Creek, because given that the Halls Creek fast DC charger doesn't work and the Type 2 probably doesn't work, at least you can go to the Halls Creek motel and the 3-phase there will work. Or if otherwise, if that doesn't, for whatever reason, you can go to a caravan park
Yeah.
and stay there for a day or two. But don't ever put yourself into a situation whereby you say, I can only make it to XYZ if this next charger, which has got nothing else around it, like it's not a town or a roadhouse, because a roadhouse, even if its charger doesn't work, a 10 amp outlet will work and it'll get the job done slowly. So
Yes.
never ever put yourself in a situation where you rely on the vagaries of one particular charger,
Yeah.
because that's setting yourself up for what could be well, in winter it's not so bad. Like I said, the Numpen rest area will be full of caravanners. You'll be full of it, full of them.
Yeah.
It's very nice, very picturesque. The charger is actually right next to the highway, and all the caravanners have to drive past. And would you believe it or not, someone actually worked out how to knock one of the bollards. I think there's actually a photo. There's a photo of it right there. And I mean, this bollard is a well away from the main road bit, and yet someone worked out how to knock it,
Yeah.
which probably would have damaged their caravan. But anyway,
You'd really say the lap consists of two completely separate halves. When you're going Cairns all the way down, all the way around, you do what the car says. You leave on 73% because you're going to get to the next place, and 8%, and it doesn't matter because there's 5 places on the way. Whereas north and in WA, you find a charger that works, you sit on it until you get to 100% because you're never 100% sure if the next one's going to work.
I understand. I'm very mindful of that. That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking all these questions now because I just know, the stuff I don't know
Yeah.
that's
As
going to
annoying
come
as
and
it,
bite me.
Harold will take a chance, but as annoying as it gets, like we would sit on there for an extra half hour, 40 minutes to get the extra to 100%
Yes, keep going. Yeah, I want
and
to get to
just
100%.
enjoy
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
exactly. Every
Because
time I
then you
can
get
get
to
a
the place, you
charge,
go, oh, yeah,
go to 100. Yeah, and take it to 100, and that's it. Yeah.
yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. And even still, I have to admit I've gone a little bit probably silly, but I went and bought one of those power stations to get me. If I really got into the shit, I had maybe 20 k's in the power
Andrew, how
station,
big is that power
3
station?
kilowatt hour.
Have you plugged it into your charger yet?
No, I haven't got it yet. I'm waiting
All right.
for it to arrive.
You'll probably have to do a about bind earth to neutral in a
Yeah,
plug
yeah,
because it may not work. Yeah,
yes, no, probably won't. Yeah, I expect
yeah,
that. Yeah, not to happen. But
yeah,
I'll have to put a ground the neutral. Yeah,
yeah,
but that's like the fallback. Like, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so definitely make sure one great tip is for any of these appliances that you've purchased, pre-test it before the trip. The last thing you want to find out is, oh, great, I suddenly need my battery bank and this really needs to work. It's going to save my bacon. And then suddenly you find out in the middle of nowhere that it
no,
didn't quite work for whatever obscure reason. So that's the other pro tip is
agreed.
all of your gear, do test it before you
Yeah,
take it, because you
agreed.
don't
Yeah,
want an expensive dead weight that you're dragging around in your car.
agreed. No, the first thing I do when I get it is test it. Yeah, that's the very
Yep.
first thing I'm going to do, and discharge it and test it again. Make sure it didn't, hasn't got a dud battery in it, or something. Yeah. So yeah, I'm mindful of. Yeah, I just know there's going to be something that's going to bite me, and even the
And
spare, I'll put the spare on just to make sure it all clears. Should. But yeah. But
oh
I
yes,
think the
actually
other.
one thing that's pertinent too with the Model 3 is it's a lower car than I know the performance Model Y that I drove. And one thing I discovered for the first time at a quarter to midnight, 100 and something kilometers south of Alice Springs, was that even though the actual caravan's jack is very low profile, once my tire was flat, which is the first time I've had a totally flat tire as opposed to just changing rotating tires that are intact, is I actually brought two jacks, but there's a technique you can use. If you can't get the jack under the flat tire or under the jacking point where the flat tire is, jack the, let's say that's the back, jack the
Yeah.
front tire up, and because the
Okay.
car's so stiff, it will naturally bring up the back one. Then bring a little block of wood with you. That you work out is roughly a similar, just slightly taller than the flat part of your jack, the jack when it's most flat. So you can then just chock that up. You then use the jack, unwind it from the front of your car, take it to the proper jack point, which will now fit, and then you can continue the job. So that's
Oh,
something no one will realize until you do the experiment with a flat tire. And most people don't change flat tires, they just change normal tires by rotating them. So
yeah.
that's another little pro tip, very, very little known,
So that
especially on
was
the
with.
Teslas.
Yeah. Which jack was you using? What type of jack was it? Not the
It's the
Tesla
one that
one.
comes with the Braumac or the Modern Spare skinny
So
spare
yeah.
kit.
So
It's
probably
it's
the
only
same as
it's only
mine.
about 50. Oh no, maybe it's 60 mils tall, or is it 70 mils, like roughly?
Yeah.
But you'll be surprised just how low a Model 3 goes
Mm,
with a flat tire.
yeah.
I was surprised.
Okay.
My performance Model Y, which is an inch shorter than a normal Model Y or non-performance, the jack would not fit.
Right.
But I had two jacks, so all I did was I just got one jack and jacked the front, and then waited, and then put the other jack in. But you can do it with a single jack as long as you've got something to chock that's a similar height to the jack when it's flat.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. We'll have to find something appropriate.
I'd
Yeah.
Andrew, I just carry a couple of offcuts of 35 mil by 190, a bit of CCA, two
Yes.
pieces about that big. and you stack it up, drive the car onto it with a flat tire. So you want something that lifts it just up enough that it was before it's flat. So 35 mil.
Oh.
I use them to level the car if we're sleeping on a slope. But then if you want to, 2 bits on top of each other, drive the car up onto it, jack fits under.
Right. Okay. I remember that. So you carry a bit of, sleeper, what they call it. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
these are just CCA treated pine, pergola bits,
Yeah.
offcuts,
Fair enough.
35 mil thick.
Andrew, I see Mike's hands up. We might just flip to Mike for a bit, and then we can come back to you for some other stuff.
Thanks
Mike.
for-
I'm just
Yeah, no
sort
worries,
of
Andrew.
I'm just using your tip. Can you hear me okay, guys?
No.
Yeah, righto, good. So just passing on one of your excellent tips, Harold, that without wishing to swamp Andrew if we already have, which is make sure if you're using the UMC at a caravan site 15 amp, that you do something to make sure it doesn't fall out overnight.
Oh, yes.
That's one of your
Very
favourite
good.
tips.
So, one of my favourite products, and I know James's as well, is go to Bunnings, go to the paint section or near the paint section. I think it's adhesives or whatever. Buy yourself, the nicest looking one is the white cloth tape. And actually, one pro tip I've learned, having taken various rolls of cloth tape around Australia several times, is the side bits, all the adhesive gets all crappy and picks up the fur from the lining of your boot and all that sort of stuff. So just shove it in a Ziploc bag, do yourself a favor. But that gaffer tape is super useful for all sorts of things. Sadly, in James's case, it was to fix up his bumper after hitting a kangaroo. In other cases, a lot of the caravan parks, the K-Max have all, because of rain protection and whatever, have the power points facing directly downwards. So then, of course, anything that you plug in is naturally being pulled down by gravity. Although some people believe that gravity is a myth and the Earth just sucks. But either way, there's nothing worse. And I know this from a sub lap, a mini lap that I did from WA through the Northern Territory down to South Australia at Tennant Creek. Was I shoved the plug in. It was actually an extension cable, and I woke up in the morning and gravity had pulled it out. So just get a little bit of cloth tape and just tape up the plug so it's in the socket and stays there. Very good tip, Mike. Very good tip. That's
Thanks.
another.
If you're using a caravan point, the K-Max actually have a little funny plastic thing on the top that's meant to loop your cable through it to
Yep.
stop it from pulling out. And some of the older ones have just a metal poke out the side just to take the strain off, take the weight off so it's not being pulled if you don't have the thing. I use one of those little orange 15 amp power bricks because that allows you just to put it on the floor. And that often the angle on the Tesla one doesn't work very well.
Thanks, James. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. I'll get the cloth tape. Yeah, too. Yeah.
We should actually make up like a compendium of road trip accessories and have them classed from the people that, from bare minimum to salubrious, but some of these little tips are really good. So gaffer tape or cloth tape is actually better than gaffer tape because cloth tape you can cut yourself with your bare hands. But bring a pair of scissors. Some of these things aren't inherently obvious, but you might want to cut something. So pair of scissors, cloth tape, little blocks of wood. Bring. It's just a personal road tripping tip. Get yourself a bottle of cheap Windex and a roll of Chuck's cloth. That's the disposable tear-off things. This is what I personally do. Every stop, particularly up north, when you're charging, your windscreen's full of insects, so you just squirt the cheapest Windex, which will make all marks and it gets all crappy when you wipe it off. If you've got a free source of deionized water, so if you've got perhaps a condensing air clothes dryer, maybe that's got unlimited free DI water. If you put deionized water in your windscreen wipers, then every time you clean your windscreen with the Windex and whatever, all you're doing is doing a brief cleansing wash of or rinse of the windscreen, so you don't use much of a squirt. And I mean, I've found through my 13,000K laps, I've managed without emptying my reservoir, and that's with intents. Every single stop, I'll rinse the windscreen after cleaning it while charging. So that's another little tip as well. But buy the crap, because there's no such thing as smear-free Windex or glass cleaner. It's fictitious. They all smear and put residue on your glass, but DI water will just rinse it off. And bring
I'll put a
a
picture in of
4
mine.
litre. Cool. And buy a 4 litre, preferably deionized water, distilled water bottle. You can put it in one of the little side pockets in your boot, and that can serve two purposes. One is to feed your windscreen washers if you need it. The other one is if you are stuck, you've got 4 litres of water, which is good for at least a day if you really somehow get yourself in a mess and there's no one around. So water is always useful either for the car or for yourself, but it's got that dual purpose.
I've got one of those, oil, like those oil capture, sump oil capture things that sits in the front, sits low because it's needed space. That's what I use for the water. Something that's quite low, that doesn't, stand up too high in front. Yeah, that's one of my ideas. But I'll fill up with deionized water rather than plain water. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like I said, if you just happen to at random to have a condensing clothes dryer that's not plumbed to waste it, down the drain, that's a great source of DI water. Look, it doesn't have to be DI. The great thing about DI is when it does the rinse, you never have any residue or spots or whatever. But by all means, use ordinary water. But I'm just saying, this is a pro tip. I don't put the bug stuff in the washer fluid, because you waste a lot of fluid trying to hydrate the bugs and all that sort of stuff. When you're basically plugged in, in the middle of nowhere charging, you've got plenty of time just to grab a Chuck's cloth. And if you're frugal, you can use a Chuck's. You only need about 4 or 5 of them, because the insect residue isn't that bad. And all that the Windex is doing is just softening it all. And then the final rinse, when you rinse the windscreen with the wipers and the washer, is just to wipe off all the residue.
Yeah.
So, but it can be just ordinary water. That's perfectly fine as well.
Yeah. And I've got a rainwater tank as well, but for what it's worth.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
yep.
Yeah,
We got a great source of DI water then. That's just the same stuff.
yeah. Thanks.
Alrighty. We should almost have called this a road trip special. Is there anyone else that's got any, other or related or totally different questions or comments in this last half hour?
My Starlink progress. Paul's gone, unfortunately.
So did it? I guess the question is,
So
did it
it's
progress?
up and running.
Oh, very good.
And I annoyed the Tesla shop today because I said my Starlink is cheaper and better. But so I've got it up and running and it's working fine. Mostly, actually, the reason I asked for "Can you hear me?" There's just the odd robotic voice coming through occasionally. So the rest of the family are pounding the system, and I've done a few speed checks, and so it is a little bit lower. It's typical evening speeds that you see from all suppliers. I just didn't get that with my previous supplier for where I am, but it appears that the Starlink one is dropping to a bit below 80 in busy times like now. From about now onwards, actually, it's okay. But, after tea, when the kids are watching their cartoons or whatever they do around Perth after dinner, then I guess it's getting hammered. But otherwise, yeah, worked like a champ. And for those who may watch this later, my existing router, modem router, which is a Telstra Smart Modem 2, it was literally just turn everything off, put the Ethernet cable from the new power brick that comes with the standard kit straight into the WAN of the modem, and it worked. First up, no configuration, no nothing.
That's good to know because I got sucked into putting SpaceX's tiny little router doodad and then putting it into bypass mode on my
Depends
setup.
which model you've got. When did you get yours?
Oh, only a few weeks ago. It's
Oh.
the version 4. It's
Yeah,
standard 4. It's called standard
Right.
4.
So the 2 ports on the power brick, I'll call it the power brick, whatever the correct term is.
Yep.
So there's one that goes up to the antenna or the dish, whatever you want to call it. But the other one, it's PoE, so you can actually just plug it in to another router straight in. I don't use that little Wi-Fi now. So I've got my original Wi-Fi, plus I've got all my original Ethernet coming out of the 4 LAN ports that are built into that router. And off you go. To say, and that's new with this version that's come out in the last couple of months.
Yes.
The old little one didn't do that. You had to do exactly what you were saying, which is this is the trouble with YouTube and guidance. If something's new in the last few months, the guidance out there is not necessarily correct.
Yeah, look, I must admit, I initially wanted the router just because to have Wi-Fi directly just to check a few things. And the thing is, I've literally slung this over a balcony, and it only sees half of the sky. And I did check the obstructions, and I'll just have to spotlight myself to make it a bit bigger. So basically, half of the sky is obstructed, and yet it says, "Oh, yeah, not really that much. It's okay.
No,
It'll be
you'll
right."
be happy with that. Probably.
Oops.
Mine's all
And
white, so that's
it's quite happy with that. And that's actually, it's literally it's on a balcony with, literally, you can only see half the sky. You can only see south, and yet it works really well.
Well, it wants you to go south. Now, I'll give you a little thing. I might be able to send to you. I've found this website called Starlink Coverage Tracker, which you might be interested in. The website is starlink.sx. So you might be able to...
That's the one that shows the satellites, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can actually see where your dish is looking and also all the satellites and what you're actually connected to. You can put your own location in. You can actually see the satellites that your dish is actually connected to. It's really quite cool. And you can see them. I'm just looking at it now as I'm talking to you. You can see them wandering along, you know, as they do. And all these little lines that go from whatever. I haven't quite fully deciphered it all yet, but it's pretty cool.
Have you put that in the, Mike, have you put that in the chat? That URL?
I can do. Yep. Just a second.
Good. So you had the Telstra smart modem, a Gen 2? Gen 2?
I've got a Gen 2. Telstra officially say on their pages that 3 and 4 work because you can actually get Starlink through Telstra at some much greater cost. Just let me put this in, and if I go send, hopefully it'll go to you. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah, good, terrific.
So, but because they don't officially say anything about 2, version Gen 2, which is a white one if you've got a Telstra box.
Yep.
But it's not the old flat, it's not the old big square flat thing. And you put it into the WAN port. So if you've got DSL or normal NBN, that's connected to the DSL port.
Yep.
So you pull that out
Yep.
and you put the cable from one of the ports on the brick to the WAN port on your router, just a normal Ethernet cable. I mean, get a Cat 6 or better, Cat 6A or better. You know, I went and bought one because my old Cat 5s, and that's getting a bit long in the tooth.
To be honest, Mike, even Cat 5 works because if it's a short cable like 1 meter or 2 meters, you'll still get a gigabit link, and it's only 100 megabits.
Mine's 20 meters, so it would still
that's
be
different.
It'd still be
That's
okay.
different.
Because I've put this up temporarily in case we don't like it and send it back. I've got
So did you, before you go any further, did you take out the 4G SIM card?
No,
because
no, haven't touched it.
Okay, because I have seen where they tell you to take that out of that modem. Because what I thought I'd do with that modem, because I've got that modem, was take it up and put it in my big shed so that I've got better Wi-Fi up there for the car, because the car's getting Wi-Fi from another shed, which with all the metal around, doesn't work all that well. And I thought, oh, well, the Telstra modem can go up there. But, I think,
No, I've just left it as it was. So I don't know what happens to that modem now. All I can say is it's not connecting via that 4G SIM card that's in it.
Yeah.
You know how to log into admin mode on that router, do you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
whatever it is, it's the usual one. What is it? 192.168.
198 usually. Whatever.
You can go into admin mode or not and have a look at what that SIM card's doing. And mine is it always says it's disconnected.
Yeah, mine's never worked
because it like I've pulled out the DSL. So if it decided it wasn't getting a DSL, it'd be coming off that.
Well, that could be why they tell you to take it out.
Yeah,
I don't know, but okay. Well, I might plug mine back in tomorrow and bypass the Starlink Mini.
So the thing I'm not using the Mini router, or the router Mini, as it's actually called.
Yeah, you're not using it at all. You've left it in the box. No,
it's unplugged completely back in its box.
Yeah, so all you've done, is plug your Ethernet cable into your power supply.
Yes. Next to where the antenna goes.
Yep.
That's it.
That's amazing. That'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
To try.
I will follow up for next meeting on the issue with this SIM card, but in the Telstra router. But it works like a champ, and it's faster than the Telstra I was getting in general. It does seem though that it is a little bit poorer for about 2 hours, 3 hours after dinner time. When I say poorer, it's still 50 something, but most of the time it's running 100 to 105 down.
Yeah, that's what I've been getting. And my Telstra was 8.
Yes, well, you were on the old system. Yes.
Yeah, so this is fantastic.
Yes, I bet it is.
And just to be clear, there is a DSL plug, which is a RG12, I think.
Yes.
And there's a WAN port. Is it red, Mike, on the Telstra ones? Yeah, it's red. So it's a red one. So you plug that in from your Starlink, and then luckily the modem just goes, oh, this is WAN. Yeah. You've got to unplug the DSL. You can't have both plugged in, otherwise it'll get confused. And then it just starts working, and that's it. And then, actually, then you'll also, provided that's on the internet, well, actually, the Starlink will be on the internet regardless of what you connect it to. You can still use your Starlink app to see the status of the Starlink remotely.
That is
correct. You can be anywhere in the world and you can see how your Starlink's going.
Yep. Okay, so the app will still work and give you all the fantastic information it gives you.
Yes.
So then, if I
well, this thing here, that Starlink I'm showing there, this is the one at work. So I'm not at work. So this is by definition coming remotely.
Yeah. So what we've got, we've got a house, and then behind the house is the standard sort of 20 by 20 or whatever tin shed. And in there we've got our solar panel battery setup, which needs the internet. So I've got a Ethernet cable going across to that. Then I've got another Ethernet cable actually I've got a router, an old Asus router at the end of that shed. And I've got Ethernet running to that router. That provides Wi-Fi to a big shed, which is a bit further away, where the Tesla sits. So what I'm thinking, if I don't have to use the Starlink Mini in the house, maybe I could put it up in the big shed, and it would pick up the Wi-Fi.
Well,
I wonder.
So what you can try, you'll notice on the Mini there's actually like a little DC connector.
Yep.
You just need to go and buy a plug pack that's, I think it's 9 volts DC. Just make sure that the gender is correct. The polarity. So make sure that the positive pin, sometimes its center pin is positive.
Yeah.
So you could just take the Mini with you, the little Mini router, to a J car or whatever, and just say to the shop assistant, "Hey, I'm looking for a
power supply.
9-volt power supply for this."
Yeah.
Because these things can be meshed. So they have a dual purpose. They can be powered up using the Cat5 cable with PoE from the little power brick, or they can be used independently of any cables with the separate DC adapter. And I think it's, if you look on your Starlink box, or maybe just Google the little Mini thingy, in fact, it might even be marked. I don't have it handy. Actually, Mike, do you have it with you? Because you're not using it.
What are you going to ask about the voltage?
Yeah, I think it's 9 volts off the top of my head.
So the old one used to be 9 volts only, which everybody moaned about. So the new one that we've got is 9 to 14 or 15 or something.
So a 12 volt power brick.
So 12 volts. So you can do a 12 volt one.
No, that's not the power brick. That's the router Mini can take.
That's right.
To 14 volts or something, right?
Perfect. So then, Jackie, you could bring it with you to Jcar or whoever, Autronics or wherever, and just say, "Hey, I want a 12 volt or a 9 volt power pack that'll fit into this connector with the correct connection," and then you're off to the races. So the trick then is to try and you can just try it. You can plug it into one of your sheds and see if it connects, and you'll be able to view it from your Starlink app.
Yeah.
Because it'll instantly say that there's this little router, the little router that's in mesh mode, and it'll set itself up automatically. It's kind of, oh no, sorry, it won't work. Bugger. Because it needs to talk to one of its friends, and you've only got one. Sorry.
Yeah, because the old Telstra, the router I'm using in the shed is a pretty old thing, and I don't think that would have mesh capability.
No. So forget what I said. A mate of mine, he's got about 4 of these things, or 5 of them, and he's just got them all over in his house. And he's down in Denmark, and he's got a rammed earth house, and he's got a shed, and he's just peppered them around the place, and they all just mesh on each other. But sorry, that's completely wrong, because you need at least one. You need 2 of them to talk to each other. To mesh.
Yeah.
So unless Mike wants to sell you his router, that's useless to him. But he's still in experimental mode, so he might still have to send it back.
Mode. Well, it's
test
something
mode,
that perhaps we could think about.
I'll give you a site on YouTube. It's American, obviously, so you just got to watch some of the things. But he's actually very good, and he's got lots of videos. But you just sort through the titles, and you'll see him talk about. This will be for you as well, Harold. He talks about the latest versions of this kit and some of the things like the upgraded power brick and the better power supply and the PoE over the connections.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's called, his site is called Dishy Tech.
Oh,
So
yes, I've seen
Dishy,
him.
yeah. So look on his site. He's got some good insights into this latest kit. I'm just trying to find where it talked about that. I'm just going to check while, if you move on to something else, that the information I gave you about the voltage is correct, because I'll be back.
I think it sounds right, Mark. That does ring true, that it's gone broader voltage range, but that's cool.
Anyway,
You
while
can look it
you're
up.
getting towards your wrap up, Alani, just
Yeah, no worries. All right. So is it, incidentally, if you, for anyone that doesn't know what their modem, how to connect to their modem on their network, just type in your Windows search, type in command. I don't know if you can see that command prompt. So that's just this sort of like a DOS window, and you type in ipconfig, and that will tell you, this is my Ethernet. That will tell you that this computer's address is 192.168, in this case .1.210, and the default gateway is 192.168.1.1. Whatever the default gateway is, that is usually your modem.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then if you enter that into a web page, that'll open up the modem's web page, and then
Yep.
you just log in the usual way. Just a little pro
Yep.
tip, because sometimes people just connect modems and everything kind of, the magic just happens. But if you do need to change something in your modem or have a look at its settings and you just can't remember what the IP address is, just open up a little Windows DOS window and type in ipconfig, all one word, and it'll tell you, just in case.
Yep, that's good information.
I cannot do this.
Oh.
I haven't got a green screen, so I can't do this, but I'll tell you, it's definitely the input for this new little router mini is 9 to 24 volts, actually,
Oh, even better. Yeah, even better.
at 1.6 amps at 9 and 0.6, I think, at 24. The PoE input, for those interested, is 1.57 or 2.57 volts, for those who like that sort of thing. I don't know why I can't. Oh, maybe. Well,
Yeah, no, it's because it's
you-
trying to show a face, not a object. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, we can't read it,
Yeah.
but we can see it. Yep,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
a little
See it.
hole. It's on little hole on the left of the
Yeah.
connectors.
Yeah. Isn't that the modem they give you with the Starlink Mini?
yes.
It's the
Yes.
same modem, but they're
Uh,
flogging it off with this latest standard 4 kit. Instead of giving you the bigger modem, they're
Yeah, well,
giving you these kits.
they've changed the physical size, but apparently now that they're in shortage, they're hard to get. You get them with the kit, but they're hard to buy as an additional item. And I think the
Yes.
price has gone up because they're very popular.
Yeah.
Because technically meshing is not as good as hardwired connections, but I dare say SpaceX is doing it pretty well, so that most users don't notice if you're on a mesh network. It doesn't really, an ordinary person wouldn't notice the difference. And it's very
No.
convenient. But like I said, Jackie, unfortunately in your case, you need 2 of them to mesh
You need
them.
another. Yeah.
You need another
okay,
one.
well,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can get. Well, they're cheap relatively. I mean, I'm guessing certainly less than $200, maybe even as low as 100 for just a cheapy mesh current PoE
Yeah, router.
type thing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, it's worth.
Very good.
Yeah, it's good to remember or to realise there's no point in me going to all that effort and then finding the damn thing it's not going to mesh because there isn't anything to mesh with.
No. So don't bother with the power supply unless you get a second one so it can mesh, unfortunately.
Yep.
But
But anyway,
the Telstra one, because a bit like you, but in a house as opposed to a bit of acreage, because my existing Ethernet is all around the house, and I didn't want to stuff around changing all that and get a new router and all that sort of stuff. So you might be able to use that Telstra one and or from the new power brick, patch it into a new router to feed all the rest of your stuff. via Ethernet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm sort of half thinking the Telstra modem I've got is on its way out because the Wi-Fi on it was dropping out so often. That it was, this is
It's
one
a
reason why I've gone to the Starlink because,
yes.
I just wondered whether the modem itself was playing up, but
Well,
it might be good enough stuck up in the shed for the car,
yeah, that old one has its vagaries. So if you don't set, particularly the Wi-Fi, if you don't set the right settings between the 2 gigahertz and the 5, or the 2.4 and the 5, and you don't set up in the right order, it can mess around a bit. But
Oh,
once
yeah.
you set in the right order, it's then very stable.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. More to look at, more to learn.
Yes.
Indeed. All right, I think we are
Hey,
nearly towards the end. Oh, no worries, Jackie, anytime. We're nearly towards the end of the program. Are there any closing questions or comments?
Got an FSD one.
Yeah. Oh, there's two Petes. What the hell? There's
Two
a
Pete's.
there's a stationary Pete and a moving Pete. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good trick. So
so
I
go
heard
on.
from a
Trouble.
reliable source that they're in local testing on 14. Local probably means Australia in this context.
I'd be very skeptical. There was an account based in South Australia
Mhm.
that showed a screen capture and of the apparent version 14.2 point something in Australia, and that's just
This is
rubbish.
from I don't want to say because we're being recorded, but from a reliable source that they're in
Okay.
local testing.
Yeah. So there is no doubt, and I can confirm that that Tesla employees are definitely
Yes.
testing it because they're building it, because this is locally built.
Yep.
So they are working on it, but I can confirm that there is no evidence that any of the so-called early adopters,
Oh
and
no,
I
no,
regret that I'm one of those, and Pete's another
no.
one, no one has gotten it. So therefore it's just a moot point. It's just not. It
Oh,
goes without saying that Tesla employees, whether they're Tesla, there's no secret that initially in normal testing, it's the actual engineers in Australia that are got engineering cars that do tests. And then I presume it goes something along the lines of once they're fairly confident that that's working pretty well, they'll then unleash it on some of the Tesla employees, as in salespeople and stuff using, cars, some of their own cars. And then once they're sort of a bit more comfortable that it's not going to kill too many people, because sales employees are a little bit more expendable than the general public, then they'll foist it on for a short period of time on the so-called early adopters, and then they'll release it widely. But we're nowhere near the release widely stage. Well,
no,
or it
no.
could happen tomorrow.
No, I just got the impression from this individual that it was a bit more than the engineers, but not outside employees. Put it that way.
Yeah. Yep. And it can fester there for quite some time, relatively, until Tesla are very happy. And don't get me wrong, as soon as it's ready, I've got my list of opening date windows for 11-day trips, and I'll be gone
Yes.
within a week. But we'll
You should
see.
give it a name Roadrunner, and then there's just dust. So FSD Roadrunner dust.
Well, I think we've had 66 people do a lap, or was it 67? I really hope I get to leave soon, because I was born in the same year as my favorite number. So I do want to get that slot, preferably. But I won't drive my car around Australia anymore on autopilot. I'm just not doing it to myself. It's just pointless. I mean, you could say that doing 11 laps already is pretty pointless, but the next one I definitely want to have on FSD. But no, good info, Mike. I mean, look, it is Tesla. They did send the email out that basically you don't have to read very far between the lines. It says all of these cars that don't currently have FSD is because we're waiting for version 14 to come out, and the sooner that happens, the better.
Yep, because
Yes, go, Mike. Sorry. Yes. Oh, I think Mike's had a satellite glitch. Oh no, you're back.
Didn't happen, and then this individual is.
Oh,
I'm
now you
back.
sped
Sorry.
up. Sorry,
I was
say that sentence again.
I think that's you, Harold.
Oh, was that me? Oh, sorry. Oh, well,
Yeah,
people
I could
watching
see
on
it.
right. So people watching on YouTube and X won't have noticed because this is the ground truth where I'm recording. But sorry about that. So say that again, Mike.
So I was in there, and I was for other reasons with my 3. I've got them looking at something for me, and I was going to take a test drive in a new Model 3 because I haven't done that. I've been in a Y, but not a 3. So I thought, oh yeah, while we're there, and they offered as they do. So I said, okay. Anyway, because of the work we were doing on the service side, it didn't happen. And an individual later said to me, well, you might want to wait a couple of months because the 14 is in, as I say,
Development. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it might be around. So I suspect, if you cross your fingers, you shouldn't have to wait outside the next quarter that's about to start.
Yeah, that's
2 weeks stretches into 2 months.
Yeah, that's really good, Mike. I'm really that makes me feel so much better. Actually,
Anyway.
now I just looked. I might have lost my my list on Microsoft Word, but I think I did take a photo of it, so hopefully I'll have it somewhere. But yeah, I did bother to do a list of parts in my diary where I've got 11 days basically clear. You know, usually leaving on like somewhere inconvenient like a Friday, which is after pizza night, and the day after Ask Us Anything. And I want to slot it in so I only miss one Ask Us Anything, so that's just the one Wednesday. So anyway, we'll see. It'll happen one day. Alrighty. Any last questions, and we'll run out this awesome show.
I've got something
Yes,
I'd like
Jackie.
to say. I've got questions about what the club does. I don't want to hear about it now, but just for next week, I'd like to just talk about some of the things that you guys get up to, because I've seen where you're having these little social get-togethers.
Yep.
Somebody mentioned that you have the odd track day. So, yeah, I'd just like to find out what, if anything, you guys are doing or like to do or sometimes do or whatever.
Yep. So the track days, that's become difficult now because we did have we've had a few track days at the DRM, the driver risk management track at the airport, but that's
Yeah,
now been demolished
gone.
due to the second runway
Yeah.
installation. And there's no real alternative track at the moment. The rumor has it there may be one being built in Malaga, which if and when that happens, we can resume track days. We
So
do
you
have
don't
the casual
use
meet. Sorry, you go
Wanneroo.
on.
You don't
No,
use Wanneroo or
we
Collie
no. Um,
because they're all Motorsport Australia, so you've got to have licenses and ambulances and yeah, okay.
yes. And to be
That answers.
honest, a track day for us, it's like a hiding to nothing because if in that 1 in a 10 chance that someone bins their Tesla and then sort of finds out that no, you don't have insurance, there never was insurance for your car. What you do on a track is your problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, all we get is a reflected glory of
Yeah.
someone riding off their car and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But look, we definitely will have another track day once a a suitable track, and like you say, Jackie, one that we don't need all the palaver of licenses and ambulances
Yeah.
and whatever, where all of that risk is undertaken. Like DRM was perfect because that was within their envelope of safety and
Yeah.
supervision and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was also under the tutelage of Jurgen
Linesman.
Lunsman. So, and that was really cool. But we do casual meetups alternating every month between a Wednesday and a Sunday. So, for example, not last Sunday, but the one before, we had a casual meetup in Duncraig. And this next month, we're due to have a Wednesday casual meetup in one of the eastern suburbs of Perth. So we sort of rotate around. You quickly asked about what does a club do. A lot of it, apart from things like Ask Us Anything and our Facebook group, we work as committee members and other members work really hard with advocacy. We get involved with things like the WAV network. We actually have an involvement with Tesla, trying to get things happening, provide feedback to Tesla, and advocate for things like more superchargers and all that sort of thing. So a lot of things we do aren't readily visible, but in a sense that's kind of good too, because sometimes things get done in the background, like nothing sort of happens for ages, and then suddenly, you get an outcome that's good for, people in general. So yeah, we do a lot of things. Being a financial member, it's all of $20 a year. That gets you direct entry to borrowing a spare tire for road trips and some other adapters if we have them available. And it sort of supports the cause. But to be honest, we don't really need the money per se. It's more just a vote of confidence, I guess, or whatever. But again, we've got a fairly healthy bank balance because we're very frugal with what we spend money on. But we do spend money where appropriate, and it's usually on loan equipment and similar things. So a lot of what we do is sort of invisible, but some of it's subtle too, because a lot of people look, it'll be great when the club sort of becomes irrelevant except for a social thing, because everyone knows how to use a Tesla and an EV and all that sort of stuff. But it's going to be a whole generational change before, like, anyone who's 10 will know how to use an electric car when they're old enough to drive one, because they'll be marinated in that sort of ecosystem pretty much. But anyone older than that has always had to use an EV for the first time and not known what they didn't know. But it's just one of those things. So yeah, look, we do a lot of things, but a lot of things we do is not eminently visible necessarily. But yeah. But track days,
good.
yes, a track day will return.
Yeah. So that's the sort of track day. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether you meant having a hang around.
No, it's just not a proper, not a serious.
Yeah.
No, Jackie, we're the softies that just get in our cars.
No, that's okay.
And
that driver training thing they had up at the airport was amazing. I mean, it was a fantastic spot. You could have a squirt in the car. We've had motorcanas and things there as well, because the little club that my husband's in, the MGTC Owners Club, and they're historic cars.
Yes.
And CAMS, or now Motorsport Australia, has never, ever looked after historic cars and the older cars. And they expect those cars to comply with all the latest rules and regulations. And it makes it impossible for the guys to have a motorcana or a bit of a fang around a track. Because half the cars don't have even a lap safety belt. They just don't have safety belts, and they just have kept away from the official side of it for many years. So, and I wondered too, how you get on with the Tesla. I did have a bit of a look at the regs for the tarmac rallies, and there's a few things there, but yeah, I mean, really having one of these cars to be able to just go and be able to put your foot in, knowing you're not going to get picked up by the
Pinged.
cops.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, look,
and
at
just
Kwinana,
just to enjoy it.
yep. Well, at the Motorplex, you can go to the drags there. You just need a helmet. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure you just need a helmet, and you can go to the drags there and have some fun in your
yeah,
stock standard car. So
yeah.
that's something
Just
you can
going to,
definitely do.
We've had some
yeah,
nights. We've had some nights at Kwinana as well, and yeah, a few people posted a few pretty interesting and competitive quarter mile
yeah,
times.
right,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
um,
even if you just go and have a blast, it's to be able to go and have a blast in the thing and
yeah.
enjoy it um,
Yeah.
for yourself,
Yep.
rather than necessarily
But,
actually competing. But obviously,
but
if you're alongside somebody else, you're going to be competing.
also from a safety point of view, so what driver risk management was really good for is it gave members an opportunity to, find the limits of their cars in a safe environment.
Yeah,
Some people brought Model Ys down. Many people brought their performance cars down. And yeah, it's just a perfect environment to do that. But yeah, unfortunately, that option is no longer open. I think we've done about 5 or 6 track days there from memory. Done a
Yep.
few. Yeah.
yeah. Oh well. Well, let's hope. I think Kim Ledger was in charge of that last one up there. I think
Correct.
he had it. He had it under his wing.
Yeah,
He's
him
pretty
and
keen.
I can't remember the other driver's name. They had it in half. Do you remember,
Yeah,
Harold?
No, I don't. But look, they are bound to return, just at a different venue. But that might be a few years away. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. There's a crowd down here been trying to get a motorsport circuit going, but there's a lot of opposition because of where they want to put it, which is basically in a swamp, which is a metre underwater in the winter, even in these drying climate
Yep.
times. But yeah, they've been pretty keen to get a circuit going down there, which would cater for a lot of the lesser sort of levels of motoring.
Yep.
So I don't know if that'll happen or not. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I
Cool.
just thought
Oh,
before I die, it'd be nice to go and have another fang
absolutely.
legally.
And yeah. And look, we'll try our best to make that happen in your awesome Tesla. So yeah, do stay posted. But yeah,
Well,
we'll
just
see
keep
how
your
we
ear
go.
to the ground.
We'll do.
That's the
Yep.
thing, isn't it? Keeping our ear to
Too
the
right.
ground about where it might be possible without involving Motorsport Australia,
Yes, indeed.
who want all the impossible, put all the impossible.
Yes.
I mean, if you know that your car is not insured the minute you drive onto that track, that's your problem. That's your responsibility. If you're prepared to take that risk, then I don't see that there's anybody who should be able to stop you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of rules about lots of things. You can't just willy-nilly hurt yourself by accident in most public places. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, Jackie, for sure. All
But
right,
basically,
we're
yeah. All
definitely
right.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
we're well over time. So Pete, how would you round out an awesome show like this, as if I didn't already know?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, go SpaceX, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to
Yeah.
do that,
Pete, did you get my message, Pete?
Sorry,
I presume
sorry,
it was
no,
you.
I didn't. Okay, got it. Yep, no worries. Thanks, Harold. Thanks, Mike. Sorry.
and the best way to do that is buy a Tesla with the profit of the proceeds of the SpaceX shares that you made a profit on. Join Tokwa and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy and abundance. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and really do look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night, everyone.